You arrive in a new place, a city or town that's foreign to you. Perhaps you intend only to stay for a short while. Or maybe it's the beginning of a new life.
Hi!
Either way, you're a stranger in a strange land, and sooner or later, you're bound to interact with the locals. If you're lucky, the welcome will be warm and you'll be greeted with open arms. And if you're not, well, let's just say that getting the lay of the land will be the least of your concerns. Today on Gamma Ray, we're going to look at horror's fascination with the concept of community and how, through the genre lens, mob mentality takes fright to new heights. As is frequently discussed by scholars and critics of the genre, horror most often shines a spotlight on otherness or outsider status. Sympathetic monsters like the creature from the Black Lagoon or Dr. Frankenstein's creation showcase the fear of exile and what it means to be pushed out of society and treated like a villain simply for existing. And while the narratives of their particular stories do eventually attempt to justify their classification as monsters, there's little question that their rejection from society and its cultural norms play a significant factor in their stories. In some ways, the long-standing trope of community as antagonist in horror movies is both an extension and a reversal of this idea. By bringing our hero, who represents what we consider to be an extension of normal society, into a situation where the very community around them is operating in perverse or malevolent ways, two things happen. The community itself becomes the other due to its unusual defiance of our expectations, but because they outnumber our hero, demographically speaking, the hero also becomes the other to them, merely for representing something other than their norm, as deadly or frightening as that may be. Take, for example, the classic film adaptation of Stephen King's Children of the Corn. Two travelers find themselves broken down in a remote farming town that is seemingly devoid of adults. The community, now comprised entirely of children, has a terrifying and grisly supernatural secret that unites it. And the only ones disrupting this new status quo are the travelers themselves.
Outlander!
Despite the horrors of the village and the cult mentality that unites it, the travelers are the foreign element, simultaneously representing a sense of reason in a mad landscape, and the outsider forced to deal with the dangerous world. The individual versus the crowd has long been a theme explored in horror stories. From the social warnings of mob mentality illustrated in classic episodes of The Twilight Zone, to modern examples such as the Purge franchise, which showcases a society that has given in to its basest and most wicked inclinations. There's even an argument to be made that the zombie subgenre, with its never-ending hordes of the undead, can be connected back to the concept of community overtaking the individual. Ultimately, the mechanism of community as a tool for horror in these stories often speaks to two of our most primal and base fears. As alluded to, the most direct read of this theme is the fear of becoming an outsider and the knowledge of how outsiders are treated. Horror has often served as a critique of the mainstream, and by running our need to be parallel to the darker aspects of inclusivity, the genre effectively kills two birds with one stone by revealing some hard truths about society and ourselves. Alternatively, the fear of community can often serve as a message of the power of individualism. While some stories prey upon our fear of being exiled, others still highlight the importance of maintaining autonomy in the face of a mindless mob. In these stories, the horror comes from being removed from the world at large and being the only one who can see the evil for what it is. Sometimes, as showcased in Brian Yuzna's cult film Society, which serves both as a dissection of community and class warfare, the revelation is made that the wickedness isn't always foreign, but has been around you the whole time, and forcing us to reassess ourselves and how we relate to the world. In truth, those variations are also representations of the outsider, albeit in this case, being the outsider is the very thing that may save your life. So, next time you plan a trip to somewhere new, or you think about packing up and moving to a different town, just take a moment to consider the world around you, because it may not be what it seems. But then again, neither may you. For all the latest episodes, subscribe to Gamma Ray and make sure to tell us your favorite movie about community gone wrong. I'm Suzanne Kiley, and this is Dissecting Fear.